Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'are Yehuda, hine Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Okay. All right, David, you ready? Okay, if David's ready, we're all ready. There's no donuts today, though. Apologies. Okay, we're starting page 202 in the bilingual book. Rabbi Braun is looking for another one, putting a lot of effort. Amelis B'Torah. This is Amelis B'Torah we were talking about on Thursday, putting an effort to learn Torah. Rabbi Braun is not such a big guy, but he's moving these gigantic bookshelves in order to find another book so that we can learn Torah better. Yeah, and he cleans the shul. It's a big mitzvah. It's a Amelis B'Torah. Even just getting a book, staying for shir, biking 4 miles is a Amelis B'Torah. Working hard in Torah. It says, if you follow my statutes, which means to Amelim B'Torah, work hard in Torah. So toil in Torah, work hard, right? Toil, even though no one uses the word toil anymore, we mentioned. But I'm saying Rabbi Braun is doing that right now. So he gets a big mitzvah. That's what we get the blessings for. Okay, so we're talking about a couple things, and now the Ramchal is going to bring it all together and talk about another aspect of it. We were talking about how there are 2 general attributes, how Hashem deals with the world. Giloi Panim, when he is showing himself, showing his glory, it's obviously recognizable that there's a God in the world. We could see how God is running everything, such as when we left Egypt, such as the times when we had the temple. God's presence was apparent. And then there's another time called Hester Panim, where even though we know God is running things behind the scenes, evil has power, and it's not so clear. You have to look into it to see how God's hand is running events behind the scenes. And we know the classic example of this is the holiday of Purim. God didn't do open miracles for us, but he nevertheless was still behind the scenes running events. So God is always running events. It's just a question if it's behind the scenes or if it's apparent. And then we also mentioned, not only are these the two ways that Hashem runs the world, but also it reflects the way that he created the human being. Yagata v'lo matzata? Or pehe. The body, the human body, is a reflection of Hester Panim, of Hashem hiding himself. And the soul is a reflection of Giloi Panim, of him expressing himself. So the body, in a way, prevents the soul from reaching its full potential, which is something we mentioned and something we're going to talk about. And now we're going to go into talk about a little more the interaction between the body and the soul. And we also mentioned that the same way we don't understand Hashem's essence, what he's actually like, we only understand the way that he interacts with the world. So to the soul, people often ask, what is a soul? We really don't know the essence of a soul, how to describe the essence of a soul. It's kind of beyond our skill set, beyond our senses to describe. All we know is how the soul really interacts with the body and things like that. And when we know about the soul, we know things about it, but we don't really understand its essence, similar to the way that we don't understand the essence of Hashem. Amra HaNeshama, says the Neshama. And again, this is the conversation between the Neshama that asks the questions and the Seichel, the intellect, that answers the questions. Excuse me. Amra HaNeshama, Misbonenes ani achar shamarta, sheratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, lahara sidri b'yasur dracheh b'briya atzmo. I'm curious about something you told me earlier, about that Hashem demonstrates within his creation the ways that he runs the world. Shalpi derech zeh hinei shtei hamidos. We mentioned that there are these 2 attributes. Shabam ha'adam is daig. That man is run through. That's the way that it's run. Shabam nivra niras ba'atzmo b'shnei halakim. Shemehem hu morkav u'bonoi. And that's how man was created. Human beings were created to show these 2 parts, and that the human being is a combination and built on these 2 parts, v'hainu haguf v'haneshama, the body and the soul. All of us have a body and a soul, 2 opposites that are together. V'zehu inyan ha'idiyah rishayna shezachart, and this is the first idea that you mentioned. V'gam hashniya yesh lanu hakabala muvaris ba'adam, and also the second idea has a parallel which we discussed. Ki haneshama halohi mischaberes baguf u'mispashetes b'chol halakav, that the soul really spreads out through the entire body. Lasos kol poel al yedei shneim shavim ke'echad, and that the body moves, right? You move your finger and you move everything, and you can do things through a combination of the body and the soul that are equal. Ach l'shlishis sha'alcha mimcha. But the third thing that you mentioned, I want to ask you. Hayesh l'hakabala, is there something which is a parallel to it? Kilo matzatia anaychi, because I haven't been able to find it. Now, what Rav Chaim Friedlander says he's asking here, is there any way in the body that we can see the soul, in a way? Can we have a, let's say, I don't want to say see, but is there a way that we can
Discover?
not exactly discover, but that we can, okay, maybe seize for lack of a better term, but that we can, is there, how to say it like this, is there a way that the soul expresses ourselves that we can notice in the body? How about like that? Okay, that's what he wants to know. He's going to say a very interesting thing. Amar HaSeichel. This is something I didn't realize it, maybe you did, but we don't realize that it's really an expression of the human soul when we see people. Gam Lazos Timatze Hagbala. So answers the intellect. You also can find a parallel to this. Im Tedaktiki Diktuk Amok. If you look very, very deeply into this matter, Al Binyan Hazesh Al Adam, on the way a human being was built. Kihine, behold, Milvad Hadmush Shel Haguf B'Tavniso, Umilvad Haneshama Shabo B'Tzura Shelo. Besides for the fact that the body was built, how the body was built, and besides for the fact that the soul, and its certain way that it is, there's something that you can see that's only from the combination of both, the body and the soul. And what's that? Hu ziv hapanim. That's the radiance of the face. We're going to see that the radiance of a person's face is a reflection of a combination of the body and the soul. V'tira, and see. You can see a person who's alive from a person who's not alive. His face looks different. Why does the face look different? Because the soul is no longer in the dead person. It's only in a live person. Not only this. Even the different levels and the different way that the soul is connected to the body is also shown in the face. Halotira. See, hachola, someone who's sick. Panav rose, he has a bad face, sad face, or a forlorn face. Velo od, not only that, Eloshim Achshavas. Excuse me. Took a COVID test again, it's negative. Velo od, Eloshim Achshavas Halev Nirazbo. Not only whether he's sick or healthy, you can see as a reflection in the face, but also his thoughts. Halo tira, panim shochakois. Is he? Is it have a happy face? Panim zoafos, a sad face, an angry face. Panim hasbiros, a friendly face. Kulam eidehem hema shal hamachshavos hanistaros bikiros halev. His face is a reflection of his inner thoughts. Now, this radiance of the face is not only found in the soul, because it's a radiance coming out of the body. You can see it. You can tell when you look at somebody. So it's a physical thing. But it's not only coming from the body. Because the body would not have this radiance without the soul. But rather, this is something that comes from the combination of the body and the soul. I know I've mentioned this story many times, but I think it's very powerful and very interesting. A photographer in Jerusalem told my Rebbe that she's a wedding photographer, and she says sometimes on film she can capture the radiance of the face of big rabbis, and sometimes she can't. But she always notices that there's this radiance. There's something you can't put your finger on. And these rabbis, these Talmidei Chachamim, these Torah scholars that have spent their whole lives studying Hashem's Torah and caring about other people, and there's just something about it. I don't know if you ever had the experience, someone once went to Rav Shach. Rav Shach was the Gadol Hador, was the greatest rabbi of the generation. When he passed away, 2001, about 2002, around then. So he was known, he was what's called, in certain ways, a kanoi. He took very strong stances about Torah issues that others were afraid or didn't express their views on. But he said the Torah says this, it's very important that we have a very strong Torah stance on. So people thought he was like an angry person. But I saw someone said that he met with him, he had asked a question, and he said he never met him before, and he said he was the nicest, sweetest person, and there was something about his face. He said he felt like he was talking to his grandfather. He just wanted to go give him a hug. He said there was something about it and he couldn't put his finger on. And that's Rav Shach, who was known to be a fighter.
Similar.
They said that also? Similar story?
Some of his face looked like a baby.
Yeah. I once took someone from Manalapan. When I was in Israel for the year, Rav Yashiv. He used to make Havdalah, and you could go in his house to hear Havdalah. And I took my friend from Manalapan in there, who was also in Israel. And as soon as we walk in, he looks at Rav Yashiv and he goes, "Whoa, his face is glowing. Like there's something about it, you know." And my Rebbe also said he notices it by Jewish children. There's something very special about Jewish children, that their face is glowing. You don't have it by Jewish children that sit and learn Torah all day without chet, without sin. It's a very, very holy thing. That's what the Ramchal is saying here. And he's saying that the way that we can see the combination of the body and the soul is through the radiance of the face. Okay, let's just do one more paragraph. We'll finish Pevav. V'lo davar reiko einyan zeh, and it's not for naught, this idea. Kibios hanavim medamin surah liyotzro. Why did Hashem make it like this? Why did Hashem make it that the face is a reflection of the combination of the body and the soul? So he mentions that it's not just a nice thing, but rather it's also very important when it comes to prophecy. B'hisraos lahem hakavod ha'elyon b'midaisav umamshel mishalimhu b'haroisa es midaisav leineim kebachar gibur l'machamo kezakin malirachim nishiva kamarim zal. Something we've mentioned is that the only prophet that spoke directly to Hashem, like we're speaking now, is Moshe. Every other prophet received divine mashalim, metaphors, divine parables, that through the parable he was able to understand what Hashem was telling him. Now, it wasn't just a dream, it was obvious to them that it was a prophetic experience. The Rambam talks about how they knew it was a prophetic experience. For instance, Hashem they could get the appearance of a strong warrior or of an old man who was filled with mercy. Hine, Ein hanavi yadame, and in the eye of the prophet it would appear. Ulavavo lo kein yichashiv, in his heart he would understand. Lahavin b'mare nevuaso as hester panav as heras tuvo. The prophet would understand through the appearance that he was getting, this image that he was getting, whether Hashem was hiding himself, whether he's revealing himself, and what's going to come out through the combination of Hester Panim and Gilei Panim. Kemara Adam alav milamala, like an image of a man coming from above. Asher lo guf neshamu panim meiros mechibur shneim ke'echad. And this image would be a reflection of the combination of the soul and the body as reflected in the face. Im masbiros, if it was a friendly face. Im shoichakos, if it was happy. Im zofos, if it was sad. Ladas kol asher yasa Hashem Elokim davar ba'olamo lehemin o lahasmil. So that the prophet would understand through the face that appeared to him what Hashem planned to do with humanity. So, to summarize, we're saying that the way that a person can see another soul is through his face, the radiance of his face. And also another reason this was relevant, because a prophet who got a message from Hashem was able to understand what Hashem was going to do and how Hashem felt towards the Jewish people through the face and the image that he received. And it sounds like not only the face, but also, sometimes he would get the appearance of a warrior or an old person. I think he quotes here, I think, that when Hashem was splitting the Red Sea, they showed the appearance, an allegorical image of a warrior, because Hashem was punishing the Egyptians at that time. So it sounds like it's a combination of it sounds like what he's saying here is that it's the image that they got, whether, the warrior to show that Hashem is seeking vengeance on the enemies of the Jewish people, or an older person showing that there's going to be mercy, and the face of that surah, of that image that came. Okay, deep stuff.